How's it going, everybody? Now, I don't normally feel the need to throw my 2 cents into this sort of conversation, but I feel that the conversation regarding the social justice warriors and the leftists really needs to have a historical perspective. There are many concerning things coming out of the left, especially from universities, that have frightened me lately. Mainly seeing college students screaming the end of the Communist Manifesto and we have nothing to lose but our chains.
It is our duty to fight.
It is our duty to fight.
It is our duty to win.
It is our duty to win.
We have nothing to lose but our chains.
We have nothing to lose but our chains.
It is our duty to fight.
It is our duty to fight.
It is our duty to win.
It is our duty to win.
We have nothing to lose but our chains.
We have nothing to lose but our chains.
It is our duty to fight.
It is our duty to fight.
It is our duty to win.
It is our duty to win.
We have nothing to lose
We have nothing to lose
but our chains.
but our chains.
Now, back in the day, running into a Marxist or a Stalinist or a Maoist was very rare for me, and when I did find them, I was mostly concerned about having a conversation with them just to see what their perspective is, because it was so rare to run into them. I hardly ever ran into one at college. My degree is actually in economics, but hardly ever ran into one, and when I did, like I said, I wanted to have a discussion with them, and I found them to be frightening. From a historical perspective, I am terrified of communism. Although economics is my field of study, history is more of my passion. And I really like to study first-person perspectives. I like to study people giving their account of living under communism, whether it be Mao, Stalin, or North Korea. And what I'm seeing from the left these days is terrifying. I just want to read you one excerpt from a book by Siegfried Nappe, who was an intellectual and officer in the German army, and he was also a prisoner of war in the Russian, basically death camps. There were prison camps, but they amounted to death camps. Mostly, the camp he was in was for interrogation. They interrogated him for years on end. He was there for a total of, I believe, 5 years. And this account is from 1948. I want you to keep that in mind and kind of compare that to what you see with the SJWs and the left these days. The Russians at one time brought professors from Moscow universities to give us lectures on their versions of history and political philosophy. They gave it up after a few months, however, because we asked questions instead of just accepting what they told us. If you applied a Western mind to their doctrine, the doctrines did not stand up to questioning. It was like religion. You had to accept their doctrine on faith or not at all. No doubt existed in their minds that everything Marx and Lenin said was unquestionable truth. It was impossible in their minds for either man to have been wrong. We found that they were so incredibly set in their thinking that they could not even comprehend that other people could think differently. When we pointed out fallacies in their logic, they could not cope with it. They felt ridiculed by our questions and our insistence on logic. We had professors of their own rank among us who posed questions that they could not even comprehend because of the mental straitjacket in which their minds had been bound. So they discontinued their series of political lectures, although they had apparently found such lectures successful with German communists. All the people who formed the first East German government had been given this kind of education, in the same camp we were in before it had been converted to a prison camp. The difference was that the German communists blindly accepted their theories on faith. We did not. Now, I'm sure that you can see some similarities with the left nowadays compared to what he experienced in those prison camps. Complete adherence to an ideology. It is not even possible for the other side to be correct. They have to be shouted down. They have to be called racist, homophobes, whatever it takes so that the conversation does not happen. Logic and facts do not factor in. It is complete adherence to an ideology. And anyone who speaks up against it is a criminal or in this case a racist or a homophobe or whatever other word they can have to shut down the conversation. Logic does not play into it. I think this is important to keep in mind when we're looking at the actions of these college students. This is not just a few kids spouting off some ridiculous bullshit so that they can feel better about themselves. This is Marxist ideology. This is extremely dangerous. I'm not trying to be an alarmist or saying we'll all be in death camps, but the truth is they control the media. They influence the media. They are the vocal minority, and they are extremely dangerous. The reason that they've been able to take the media and be able to go as far as they have in politics, not just in the left, but the right, is because they push for authoritarianism. They appeal to the government, and because they are the vocal minority, the squeaky wheel gets the grease, they are able to get into media. Because it doesn't matter what the majority believes, it matters what the vocal minority believes. It matters what they're able to push. What you have to realize is it takes a very small percentage of the population to make very large changes. And we must watch this because it is very, very dangerous to us. I'm not saying in 10 years we'll all be in death camps, or I'm not saying in 10 years Marxism will take over, or even in our lifetime. What I am saying is this sort of authoritarian collectivism only goes down one road. We may never be North Korea, but we can lose our individual rights, and we have already started to. Now, we have vocal and very good speakers that are advocating against us. We have Milo, we have Sargon, Teal Deer here on YouTube, and we have a very vocal population, but I fear that it's not enough. We're not vocal enough. We're not in the media enough. There is a pushback right now, but what concerns me is this pushback happening because we are a resistance to what we're seeing, or is it because we're the lobster going in the pot and this is our last screams before we boil? I don't mean to be alarmist. I'm just very concerned. I'm a student of history. I mostly love reading firsthand accounts, and reading what happened in Germany with fascism and reading what happened in Russia with communism. It has some very frightening parallels to what is happening to us. We may never get there. Hopefully we will never get there. Hopefully this is just a phase in our history. But it's scary because it's possible that they may take control. It's very possible. This ideology is dangerous, and we must do everything against it. That includes the best weapons we have, which are facts, logic, and ridicule. Ridicule can do more than you would think. We need the people who make the very logical, factual arguments, but we also need the comedians. This is an ideology that deserves to be ridiculed, and for some people that resonates. I know there's talk right now in the community, and the reason I'm making this video is because there seems to be a division between people who wish to push only facts, make the logical arguments, and people who wish to just ridicule the low-hanging fruit. And I think there is a place for both, and both of these parties have contributed to the pushback that we've seen, and I hope they both continue. And I don't think it's useful for us to argue amongst ourselves, because our enemy is so scary and has the potential to do so much damage that it really doesn't matter what we're doing, as long as we're doing something to push back. Thank you for listening. Have a nice day.